What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Syatt. I'm a strength coach and nutrition coach, and today you and I are going to review what Mark Wahlberg eats on a daily basis. He recently put out a video with Men's Health that goes over what he eats in a day, and I thought it would be worthwhile, especially because the dude is shredded, he's very lean, very athletic, he does very high performance acting roles, and I thought it would be cool to go through this with you. So let's get into it. Now, I do just want to quickly say, I am personally not the biggest fan of what I eat in a day videos because oftentimes people are watching these videos not just for ideas on what the person eats, but also because they think if they eat like them, they will look like that individual, and that is not how it works. You are not gonna look like Mark Wahlberg, even if you eat the exact same diet as Mark Wahlberg, even if you do the exact same workout as Mark Wahlberg. No matter what, you are not going to look like Mark Wahlberg. It's very important to understand that. It doesn't mean you can't learn anything from him. It doesn't mean that his diet isn't good or it's bad. We don't know anything about it yet. But just understand, just because you're going to eat in a similar way as him doesn't mean you're going to look like him. And let's get into it.
I was actually smart. I would have listened to the people that told me how to do things right a long time ago, but I was hard-headed and thought I knew everything, like most people I talk to nowadays when I try to give them advice about eating right, recovering, and training properly.
If that's not good life advice, I don't know what is. And to be fair, I struggled with this as well, especially when I was younger. Someone tells you something, you read something in a book, and all of a sudden you think you're an expert on it, and that's just not how it works. The older I get, the more I realize the less I know, and the much more open-minded I am to new ideas. So keep that in mind. Well said, Mark.
I got up, I take my vitamins, I drink my water, I have a little zinc, dissolvable zinc tablet, and then I have a triple espresso. I'll have my coffee, go in the cold plunge, come out, and then I'll have my creatine and my branched chain aminos while I'm working out.
Okay, so basically he's saying he workouts fasted. If you pay attention there, everything there is essentially 0 or very low calories like BCAAs, which are like 5 or 10 calories per serving. So essentially he's training fasted. I'll start with that's a lot of caffeine really early in the morning. A triple espresso, depending on what kind of coffee and where it's from, could be several hundred milligrams of caffeine. If you don't have any issues with caffeine or any heart issues, not necessarily a problem. I would not recommend that for someone who is struggling with high blood pressure, or if your cardiologist or doctor is telling you to avoid that. There's really nothing wrong with anything he's doing here, so if you want to replicate that, you're welcome to. I will note that he said he has his creatine. A lot of people, it's a huge topic right now. It's an effective supplement. I do think that it is overrated for the vast majority of people, just because people think they're gonna take it and all of a sudden they're gonna get super strong and super shredded. It's an effective supplement, but it's not like steroids. It's not going to radically change your physique or change your performance. If you're getting more and more serious with your training and nutrition, it probably wouldn't hurt to take it. Just don't expect to radically transform your physique overnight from taking it. And as for the cold plunges, if he likes it, great. Like I've said a million times, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than cold plunge. There's no inherent benefits to it, especially when it comes to fat loss. Some people notice better train of thought, better focus, mood improvement, enhancement. If that's what it takes for you to get mood enhancement and improvement, go for it. I'd rather sleep an extra few minutes, but that's just me.
The workout, about 45 minutes after the workout this morning, I had 5 eggs. I had 2 hard-boiled eggs and 3 scrambled eggs. I had a pork chop with just a little bit of salt and pepper on it. I had wild smoked salmon, some Greek yogurt, and berries. And then I had green juice with moringa. That was at 8 o'clock in the
Okay, that's a big fucking breakfast. What I want to say here is, because especially the way that Men's Health is portraying this, it looked like a lot of food. If I had to guess, it's not massive portions of each thing. I know he said he had 5 eggs, which is a considerable amount, but then the wild salmon and then the pork chop as well, I would imagine they're relatively small portions. The reason I'm imagining this is because from what I found online, it says that Mark Wahlberg is about 5'8" and 175 to 185 pounds. I don't know for sure, but that's what I found online.
Mark Wahlberg's like 150 pounds.
If he's gonna continue eating in this way throughout the day, he's gonna blow past a caloric maintenance amount, right? So for his weight, eating around 2,400, 2,500 calories a day is where he'd have to be to maintain his current weight. If he was eating in huge quantities like this for breakfast, he would easily blow by that. I would imagine the wild salmon was very small amount. I would imagine the pork chop was relatively small. He's not getting a ton of calories from the berries and all of that. The major thing to note here is that he's having a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. It's a very nutritious breakfast. That's the part that I'm really impressed with. And especially for we have the carnivore crowd that's like just meat, no vegetables, no fruits. It's like he's having a vegetable juice, he's having a green juice, he's having berries for fruit, and he's also having protein. He's also having dairy, he's having some yogurt. Like, this is actually a very well-balanced breakfast, albeit huge, and there's nothing wrong with a huge breakfast. I just want you to be aware that it's a very nutritious, hearty breakfast with a variety of fruits from a variety of different sources. It's not dogmatic. That's like, I think my favorite part about this breakfast is there's some camp that can say like whatever food he's having, they demonize it, they say it's bad, and he's having all of it. Surprise, surprise, a little bit of everything is better than completely demonizing something.
At 11 o'clock, I had chicken breast, chicken thigh, sweet potato, broccoli, a bowl of fruit, blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, strawberry, and then I had a handful of pistachios and I had a handful of almonds.
All right, so again, it sounds like a super huge meal based on all the things he's listing off, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, I could never eat that much, I'd get so fat. But again, number one, these are whole, minimally processed foods, so you can eat more of them for fewer calories. And I would imagine if we saw the actual plate of what he was eating, I bet like the main protein, like the chicken breast, chicken thigh, all that stuff, I bet it would fit all on one plate. The chicken breast, the chicken thigh, the sweet potato. If you want to see something crazy, you can Google search Mark Wahlberg's home gym. Like, it's absolutely wild. Safe to say he's very wealthy. He might even have a chef making all this stuff for him. It wouldn't surprise me if he had his own personal chef. Who knows? Maybe he cooks it himself. Either way, I guarantee you, it's an appropriate portion size. When you hear this rattled off like it in the way that Men's Health is depicting it in this video, it might seem like he's having a lunch tray sized meal every meal. I guarantee you that's not the case because he would be eating way too many calories. For him to stay this lean consistently, which from what I've seen, he's always relatively lean, he's eating appropriate portion sizes. So it might be a relatively small size, but overall a lot on one plate with a high protein, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, a lot of fiber. And again, the best part about this is it is very mixed, right? He's having nuts and seeds, he's having fruits and vegetables, he's having protein. It's like an unbelievably balanced diet. I would imagine it's keeping him very full, very satiated, and fueling him well for his workouts in his life. There's really nothing to hate on here. It sounds fantastic.
2 o'clock, I had salmon sashimi, crab salad with some cucumber, and a couple pieces of chicken breast.
Again, very high protein, salmon sashimi. He did say just a couple of pieces, right? So it's not like he's going to a sushi restaurant and having 16 pieces of salmon sashimi. He probably had a couple. I would imagine less for the protein and more for the high quality fats that you get from salmon. He did say he had a couple of chicken breasts. Again, I would imagine they weren't huge chicken breasts, relatively small. Those were probably more for the protein. And he also had a crab salad there as well. Yes, with protein, but also I would say for the vegetables too. And maybe just to help keep him full with those extra vegetables to fill him up for fewer calories. Fantastic.
I just try to eat as clean as possible. I've had the worst eating habits. And I do want to, let's have a little disclaimer here. If I explain my schedule or my eating habit, let's not let your imagination run wild. And last time I did this, it got out of hand. And people thought I took an hour and a half long shower. And I've changed my philosophy quite a bit. If I was actually smart, I would have listened to the people that told me how to do things right a long time ago, but I was hard-headed and thought I knew everything, like most people I talk to nowadays when I try to give them advice about eating right, recovering, and training properly. It's sad that it took me till I was 52 years old to figure it out. If only I would have done this long ago, I think I'd have had another nice little 15-year run at doing more physical movies.
You know, what's cool about this is he's specifically saying it's sad it took him so long to figure it out because he could have had a greater longevity in doing what he loved, right, in terms of having very physical movies, and he's done that his whole acting career, very physical movies. And he's speculating that if he had figured things out, and I would imagine, especially from a workout and recovery perspective, he would have had fewer injuries, that he would have been able to do more intense acting roles for a longer period of time. He spoke about later in this video how he ended up tearing his meniscus at the first day of one of his filmings. That probably wouldn't have happened if he had recovered properly and didn't overtrain. The good news is, for the vast majority of us who are not either elite athletes or some of the world's most famous actors, if you figure it out at 52, that's amazing. Like, it's not too late. Yes, it would have been great to figure it out at 42 or 32 or 22, but how many of us have anything figured out at 22? And the reality is that as you get older, you learn more and more and more. So regardless of where you are, what time or how old you are when you learn this, just the fact that you're learning it is fantastic, because then you can help pass it on to other people. So I actually think what he's doing is fantastic, and so far his diet sounds really good.
As long as I do the cheat meal right this time, because what I'm thinking about is like, okay, I gotta have either some tequila, and I'll have chocolate, and I'll have some other dessert, and 5 different kinds of pasta after not having anything and eating clean. And then I wonder why I don't feel good the next day.
Okay, so he's talking about cheat meals here. I'll start with my thoughts on cheat meals in general. I'm not a big fan of cheat meals. Not because you're not allowed to have anything off plan or anything bad or dirty. You're more than welcome to. I don't like calling it a cheat meal. Cheat implies that you're doing something wrong and that you shouldn't be doing. Even in how he's explaining it. He's literally explaining something that he feels guilty about and explains how bad he feels once it's over. He didn't go in more detail. He said, as long as I'm doing it right, because this is how I would do it, chocolate and cake and all this stuff, then I feel bad and I wonder why I feel bad. It's like, well, you feel bad because, like he said, he will only eat clean or he won't be eating at all, and then he'll have this big cheat meal, and of course he feels like garbage after. Number one, because he just binged on all this food, but also because in his mind he's told himself he's not allowed to have these foods. This, I think, is one of the most important parts of a sustainable diet over the long term and having a healthy relationship with food. If you are viewing certain foods as good or bad, right or wrong, healthy or unhealthy, then you will always feel bad when you're having the bad foods. You're literally, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not to mention, you can have these foods without binging on them. You can have them in smaller portions, in moderation, throughout the week on a regular day, and it doesn't have to be a cheat. It doesn't have to be a binge. If you want to have some ice cream after dinner with your husband, with your wife, or by yourself, God forbid, then you can do that without feeling guilty. It doesn't have to be a cheat. It can be a part of your normal daily diet as long as it's within your calories and as long as the majority of your diet is whole, minimally processed foods like he's having. Now, he didn't go into what he's having for dinner, at least not that I saw in this video, but I would imagine, again, it's whole, minimally processed foods, a lot of protein. He has a very, very high protein diet, and nothing inherently wrong with that, but I would just make sure you also are aware that he's having a lot of fiber, a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables. People don't realize this, like the berries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, a lot of fiber in there. He's having multiple salads a day, a lot of fiber. He's having some green juices. I know people have varying opinions on that, but the reality is he's not just having protein. He's having a very mixed, well-balanced diet, and he also isn't afraid to indulge in some of his favorite foods as well. From an outsider's perspective, I think he's doing a great job, and I think that it is definitely something to model after if you'd like to improve your nutrition. You don't have to do the exact same thing, and absolutely do what feels best for you, but number one, understand even if you do the exact same diet as Mark Wahlberg, you're not going to look like Mark Wahlberg. Also understand that you don't have to demonize or take anything out of your diet. You can have everything you want in moderation. If you want to figure out how many calories you need in order to lose fat and lose fat sustainably, I have a free calorie calculator that you can use. The link is in the description of this video. Put your name in, put your email in. I'll send you my free calorie calculator. It will put you on my email list. I don't send emails often, but if you want, you can click unsubscribe once you get that first email and you'll never hear from me again. But if you want to figure out how many calories you need to eat so you can lose fat sustainably, I have that free calorie calculator for you in the description of this video. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.